Hello, everyone, and welcome to Eternal Life Plan. I'm your host, Kristine Harrington. And for the people that are viewing for the first time for this channel, we are talking about Michael Voris, the demise of Church Militant, and giving a surprising update on the lawsuit that Father de Laire filed as a defamation suit against 4 people that worked at Church Militant, which also includes Michael Voris. I have done a series of videos about the Church Militant scandal, the Michael Voris scandal. I was employed at Church Militant for a short while, and my guest that's coming on, Kristine Christlieb, was employed there for over 3 years. And we're going to reveal the surprising result of the lawsuit that Father de Laire filed against the 4 individuals, which we'll get into. So for the new people, that will update you. This lawsuit goes back to 2019. Now, in the meantime, though, after Church Militant, after St. Michael Media was dissolved, there were 2 nonprofits, St. Michael's Media and Church Militant. St. Michael's Media was a 501c3. Church Militant was a 501c4, which Voris retained when he resigned from Church Militant. And when he resigned, he was supposed to have taken time off to go through rehabilitation for the morality clause that he broke, which caused him to resign from Church Militant. The speculation is that he went back to his homosexual tendencies and was living a dual lifestyle while he was the head and leader of St. Michael's Media Church Militant. So that rehabilitation was a short time because he began a new apostolate shortly after and came back on the air probably April, May of this year. Well, now he's doing podcasts as a guest, and I want to show you the latest. And this was on William Wallace for America. This was in August when Michael appeared on this podcast talking about the mental illness of the country and his own struggles. So apparently he's doing podcasts now talking about his struggles with certain aspects of his life. We all pray for Michael. We all pray that he does continue to get the help that he needs, because his deep-seated problems will not be solved in 2 to 3 months. Anyone that's gone through what Michael has gone through, it usually takes well, it probably is demons. It usually takes decades to resolve these issues, if they ever get resolved. So during this time, Kristine Christlieb moved from Detroit to St. Louis in July, and in August, I moved as well. So the de Laire lawsuit kind of slipped underneath our radar. And I've had lots of people ask me about where is the de Laire lawsuit and what's happened. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'd like to bring in my colleague, Kristine Christlieb. Kristine, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this and maybe putting an end to this.
Great to be back. And of course, yeah, I think we can sort of put this to bed. even though, just like, Michael has ongoing issues, there are lots of people who, because of Michael's behavior, are still trying to recover from what happened. So, the ripples across the pond are ongoing.
Yes, it is. And what Kristine is referring to is there were a lot of employees that was staffed at St. Michael's Media and Church Militant that were greatly hurt by the dissolving the apostolate, because these people had families, had children, had bought houses, had
Yeah,
relocated to Detroit and left family behind, and many of them still haven't um, I haven't gotten gainful employment
yeah.
and are in desperate situations by now. We're going to get
Mhm.
into that later. And then also, please be sure and stay with Kristine and I till the end, because we have an announcement to make. Okay. So, Kristine, what I would like you to do is kind of recap this lawsuit.
Yeah. Actually, I had forgotten about the fact that, yes, the original incidents took place in 2019. Now, the lawsuit wasn't filed until 2021. I guess when Father de Laire just had enough of trying to get, a response from Michael and St. Michael's Media on the matter. So, but my point is, this has been going on for a very long time. So basically, since January of 2019, which is when the original story was published, Michael himself and then St. Michael's Media originally were denying that they had any responsibility for this, and they stood by their story that all these things that they had written defaming Father de Laire were true. And Father de Laire tried to get, an apology early on. They wouldn't do it, so he sued them. Well, as everyone knows, when you embark upon a civil lawsuit, it can take years, and of course, that's what's happened. So it was supposed to go to trial about a year ago, but it got delayed because of the retreat at sea, and
And
so
let me interrupt you right
yeah,
there, Kristine. Hold that
yeah,
thought.
yeah,
Kristine and I have detailed
yeah.
all of this on prior videos. So there's a
Mhm.
playlist on my YouTube channel that's just marked Church Militant, and it has all the videos of this whole Church Militant saga, and everything that Kristine's now talking about. We've done prior videos on, so you can go back and look at that. Okay, so it was
Yeah,
all stopped because of the retreat by
yeah.
sea,
Oh no,
which they
yeah,
still are having.
yeah, yeah. If you want to go to the next retreat at sea with Gary Voris, or whatever he's calling himself now, um, they're having a retreat at sea in November. Anyway, so then of course everything blew up in November. It was right before Thanksgiving in November that it came out, that Michael had broken the morality clause of the organization. And so he resigned, and then I guess it was around the 1st of December, there was a mass layoff, and a bunch of people quit, and then of course the whole thing, when I'm sorry, remind me, Kristine, when did they finally end up just auctioning everything off? When did that happen?
It was April of this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
April of this year. And I did some just keyword searches and stuff on Google earlier today, Kristine.
uh-huh.
And it's funny, a lot of the reporting that was done on this by the mainstream media, they're blaming the de Laire lawsuit as the demise. And it really wasn't. it wasn't because of the lawsuit that caused the dissolvement of St. Michael's Media. It had to do with Voris resigning. And, he was the face of Church Militant.
Well, I think I guess I would say kind of two things. That was certainly it. I mean, it was never going to survive with Michael gone.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that was going on at the same time is it was collapsing financially.
Because of all these lawsuits over the last couple of years.
Yeah. So there was the de Laire lawsuit that they were defending. There was the lawsuit that they initiated against Mr. Parrott. Then there was the lawsuit that they had going with the city of Baltimore, which eventually was decided in their favor. But again, after years and years of litigation, and then only a fairly meager settlement from the city of Baltimore. So, I guess my point is Michael resigned right before Thanksgiving, and the place was gone by the 1st of May.
Yeah.
And Kristine and I had bets on exactly when that would happen. She won the bet, and I can't remember exactly what I said. All I remember is that I lost the bet, but it happened quickly. And I mentioned that only to say that it makes sense to realize that there was a lot of stuff going on before that for it to collapse as quickly as it did. So
yeah, I agree with that, Kristine. There was a buildup to all of this, and then, which is why I've always speculated that Forrest resigned. I mean, they all knew his indiscretions. They all knew it.
They did.
And the board,
everybody had a story.
Yeah.
About something, just some like, oh my gosh, kind of story about Michael. Everybody had one.
And of course, the board members knew what was going on. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So my speculation was he resigned. He came out, resigned at the time he did to get out from under all this. That's what I can't prove it, but that is my opinion on what happened.
Yeah. And allow me to just say that my concerns about Church Militant and St. Michael's Media are not so much about Michael's sexual indiscretion or whatever the heck it was he did to violate the morality clause. I don't care about that. The place had been completely and totally mismanaged for years.
Yeah.
For years. But it just so happened that their very, very bad decision about these lawsuits is what ultimately proved their undoing. And I mentioned that only primarily because, of course, Michael has reincarnated now in the state of Texas and has yet another nonprofit organization that he is running. And why people are continue to support him, in any of his, in this, I mean, the fact that he's even changed his name,
Yeah. He's using his full name now, Gary Michael Voris. You were not ever going to call Gary or Michael Voris Gary when we worked at Church Militant.
No.
That was never going to happen.
Yeah. Or Mike.
Yeah, or Mike, right.
Mike either. Or at least that's kind of how I was instructed. But
well, you know how I was instructed.
Oh, don't talk to him at all? Or?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
don't look at him.
right.
Don't look his way. Don't talk to him at all. He's a very important man.
Yeah, no, I got the same instruction. Yeah, don't, and yeah.
So let's
So,
get to the lawsuit. And then what we'll do
yeah,
is after that, we'll talk about the former employees and where they're at now,
yeah. Okay,
the
so,
ones that we know about.
all
So,
right. So everything was auctioned off there in
mhm,
April, but the lawsuit was ongoing. And so, um, of course, it was my prediction, okay, that Michael would take this to the bitter end, that he would string out this lawsuit as long as possible in order to just drain um,
Father
Father
Delaire.
de Laire. And
Now,
that's what's happened.
yeah, and everyone,
And that he would settle at the last minute. Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. You're the one that said that, and I said it was going to go to trial, but you
yeah,
were right on that one. So maybe that cancels out the other bet.
yeah, yeah.
um, But
So they,
remember,
yeah,
I want to remind the viewers that um, Michael denied having anything to do with this article, the articles that Father de Laire sued Voris for. So he denied all responsibility. So what's a good leader, everyone? What is the definition of a good leader? The buck stops with the leader. The leader takes the responsibility of his business, her business, and the responsibility of the team. Well, that's not what happened, is it, Kristine?
that's right. So everybody, all the named defendants in the case, Anita Carey, St. Michael's Media, and they had all apologized to Father de Laire. And so they were trying to get this thing settled, way before June. But Michael kept insisting, no, he was not responsible. He was CEO. He didn't he didn't look into those kind of matters. And so, and the person he blamed was Kristine Niles, which is it's just horrible that, he put all of this off on Kristine Niles. Well, now we'll get into the settlement, and we'll find out that finally Michael is going to issue an apology, and he finally does take responsibility. So
Okay, let me pull it up.
yeah, so here is the
Okay,
settlement.
here it is, everyone. And Kristine's going to read it to us.
Yeah. So just so this settlement grows out of mediation. Both the plaintiff and Michael, or Father de Laire and Michael, agreed to allow the judge, Judge LaPlante, to mediate a settlement. And so this is the agreement they finally came to. The plaintiff, Father Georges de Laire, and the defendant, Gary Michael Voris, each for their own reasons, hereby stipulate and agree as follows. First, Mr. Voris is dismissed as a defendant in this lawsuit by Father de Laire, with each party to bear his own attorney's fees and costs, and with rights of appeal, if any, waived by Mr. Voris. Okay, so they both have to pay their own attorney's fees, which is in the million. Well, I shouldn't say in the millions. I'm guessing it's a seven-figure dollar for Father de Laire. Mr. Voris also stipulates and agrees that the following is true. Mr. Voris was the founder of St. Michael's Media, aka Church Militant SMM, and is CEO and its CEO until he resigned from the company in November 2023. On January 17th, 2019, and thereafter, SMM published on its churchmilitant.com website about Father Georges de Laire, the judicial vicar of the Diocese of Manchester, New Hampshire. The story was authored by Mark Balistreri, who requested that his authorship be concealed and led SMM to believe that the claims in his article were supported by anonymous sources known to him.
Okay, hold on for 1 second, Kristine.
Yeah.
Now, if you all remember Mark Balistreri, he was Voris's source. He was the source that Voris knew. Okay.
He's the canon lawyer.
That's right, the canon
He
lawyer
is the canon lawyer
that Voris used.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that Voris put his faith in.
Yep.
All right, so on to the next page. It was later revealed that Mr. Balistreri could not substantiate his claim. He just lied about it.
Yeah.
He just lied about, he made this stuff up about, I'm sorry for the commentary. Could not substantiate his claims regarding Father de Laire with any credible sources. Further, Mr. Balistreri did not disclose to SMM his active involvement in a canonical dispute in which he was representing a client and Father de Laire was representing the church at the time he wrote the article, which would have raised questions about the motive behind the anonymous allegations in the article prior to its publication. Mr. Balistreri, after being sued, did not defend the lawsuit, leading the court to enter a default judgment against him. Mr. Balistreri further failed to attend his duly noticed and agreed upon deposition. This
Okay.
guy is a canon lawyer. What a goof.
Yeah, no kidding. For
Okay.
those that don't know, a default judgment. So if you don't appear in court, you just don't appear when you're being subpoenaed, you don't defend the lawsuit, then you automatically lose. So that's what it means by default judgment.
Yeah.
He automatically lost because he didn't do what the court asked him to do.
So now, could you advance the page so that people can
I'm
see?
sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Because
everyone.
here we come to number 3. We're at number 3, where Michael Voris states as follows. Okay, here we go with Michael's apology. I offer my full and genuine apology to Father de Laire for any hurt or emotional distress he suffered as a result of a news article titled New Hampshire Vicar Changes Dogma into Heresy on the St. Michael's Media website, churchmilitant.com, on January 17, 2019. Like we were saying, this happened in January of 2019. This is when this started. And here we are. Here, it's settled in July of 2024. In the federal defamation litigation, St. Michael's Media has admitted that on January 17th, 2019, and thereafter, SMM published on its churchmilitant.com website a story about Father Georges de Laire, the judicial vicar of the Diocese of Manchester, New Hampshire, that defamed Father de Laire. The story was authored by Mark Balistreri. Mr. Balistreri led me and others at SMM to believe that the claims in his article were supported by sources known to him. SMM and churchmilitant.com apologized to Father de Laire for the publication of this story. It was eventually removed from the churchmilitant.com website. It took a very, very long time for it to be removed.
I think it wasn't removed until earlier this year, right?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure of that. As CEO of St. Michael's Media and churchmilitant.com, here we go. I did not ensure the proper vetting the article as I should have. No kidding. Mr. Balistreri did not substantiate and has not substantiated in the lawsuit his claims regarding Father de Laire by identifying sources. Prior to publication, SMM should have questioned this lack of substantiation and should have assessed Mr. Balistreri's and his story's objectivity. I did not ensure that SMM did so. And because he didn't, the whole thing collapsed. Well, I mean, that's as you talked about, it's one of the reasons the whole thing collapsed.
Yeah, and viewers, we want to remind you that back in January of 2019, when Father de Laire attorney asked them to take down those articles, Voris sent back a scathing response to them and refused to take it down and stood by it. So this could have all been eliminated a long time ago.
Yeah. If as CEO of the organization, when it was threatened with a lawsuit, instead of thoroughly investigating it, he dug in and thought he could beat this. Okay. Mr. Balistreri, after being sued, did not defend the lawsuit, leading the court to enter a default judgment against him. We've talked about that. Mr. Balistreri further failed to attend his duly noticed and agreed upon deposition. Again, I apologize for my part in any distress or damage I have caused Father de Laire. Well, he could have said that months ago.
Yeah, yeah. So, folks,
Years ago.
Years ago, exactly. There it is. I mean, there it is.
So,
it's
astonishing. One of the things he doesn't apologize for, I don't think. I apologize for any hurt or emotional distress. What about the financial damages? You know, the thousands of dollars in legal bills. What about apologizing for that?
Exactly, Kristine. And, one of the things that I just always go back to is Michael could never be wrong about anything. Never be wrong about anything. Maybe, hopefully, prayerfully, maybe he's turning a new leaf and starting to take responsibility for the actions that not only hurt Father de Laire, but hurt the 65 people that worked for him.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that a little bit, Kristine.
Yeah.
So I want to remind everyone that most of the employees were required to move to Detroit from wherever they came from. They were required to move to Detroit. And Kristine moved from St. Louis. I mean, I don't know wherever, and I was supposed to move July of 2023. I was supposed to have moved. I'm sorry, July of 2022, I was supposed to have moved to Detroit. I quit in April of 2022 because of everything that I saw and what was going on. And then had I stayed, everyone, I would have moved up there. And then the following, 10 months later, I would have been laid off when you got laid off because we were all a part of the evening news.
Yeah. When I think when I think Michael kind of gave up was after the 2022 midterm elections. I really think that was they were so wrong about the red wave, and it was such a disappointing election result. I think it really took the wind out of a lot of people's sails. I mean, they were just wrong about a lot of it. And then, of course, there was the burden of all these lawsuits, the financial burden of all. And I guess you were telling me that that there's still a lawsuit pending against them. I don't know how that's going to turn out. The back office software technical people.
The hosting company. It's not, they did not sue Church Militant St. Michael Media. They sued Joe Gallagher's company, Truth Army, which is no longer, and they sued the donor that was helping
yeah.
Joe Gallagher.
Oh, yeah.
So they didn't sue Church Militant St. Michael Media.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the
Right.
reason why is because they, Joe Gallagher had, and there's a misconception out there. Joe Gallagher did not buy St. Michael Media Church Militant. He did not buy it. He was managing St. Michael Media. And he had promised to pay the hosting company their monthly payment, and it didn't happen. And so the owner reached out many times to try to resolve it. And, it was kind of like, well, the check's in the mail, but the check never came. So they shut down the website. And it's my understanding from talking to the owner that they were going to keep the website in their possession for a year, and then would decide after a year what they were going to do with all of that content. So
Well,
I don't know if that's,
some of that
I don't know.
content is showing up on, the new organization that Michael has in Texas. That content is showing up there.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe, I know that Michael kept Church Militant, but I don't have any idea what all that entails at all.
Yeah. It seemed like a mess to me, like who the rightful owner. Well, the owner, of course, is not any individual.
Right. It's the board.
Yeah.
Well, the donors.
The corporation,
Mhm.
which is run by a board, and of course,
Well, they weren't a corporation, they were a nonprofit.
well, a nonprofit is a corporation.
I
Yeah.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's a nonprofit corporation, right? So, but yeah, so they've just pulled up their tent, and they've moved it to Texas, and they're no longer exclusively Catholic. It's a political organization now,
Mhm.
primarily, and of course, they're still talking about the religious component of politics. I mean, you can't get away from that. But yeah, they've just it's like so many of these kinds of incidents. You have that dynamic founder who falls from grace, and then everybody wants him to take a little time off, and be restored, and and then it never happens. And then the person just resurfaces in a new location, new ministry, new church, new whatever. Say it's just a pattern.
Yeah, it's the same old story.
It is.
Yeah.
And it just keeps happening. It happened, like, well, a lot of your audience won't know this because they're not Protestant. I happen to follow that sort of thing because I knew some of these people back when I was Protestant. But you have like this is what happened to Mars Hill. It's what happened to Gateway. A huge mega church in the Dallas area. It's just, and those are recent cases.
Yeah, and there's a current scandal going on with Morningstar now down in North Carolina. This is public and it's vicious.
I don't know that one. So
yeah, Chris Reed, who claims to be a prophet, and everybody's a prophet now. And did you know Father Altman's a prophet now too? And
really?
I'm going to do.
Are these people Catholic?
No, they're
Oh.
Protestant.
Oh, I see.
Morningstar's a Protestant
Oh, okay.
organization down in North Carolina. And I'm going to be doing a video on Father Altman and his prophecies now. So everybody's a prophet.
Yeah.
Seems to be the way to go these days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Kristine, let's talk a little bit about.
Where are they now?
Yeah. Where are they? Trey's on. We know where Trey is.
Hey, Trey.
Yep. Hi,
Trey's in
Trey.
Texas.
The Christines love Trey Blanton. He's a good guy.
That's right. So Trey, Trey Blanton, is in Texas. Trey, I'm assuming you're in school still. He's working on. He has a long-term project, a documentary that he's working on. He's very interested in Middle Eastern affairs and so on because of his service, partly because of his service in the military. And let's see, where should we start?
Well, Hunter Bradford's in Texas too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. About to be married soon. Yeah. And oh gosh, that is coming up. Yeah.
Isn't it coming up in November?
I believe so.
Yeah.
So several of the anchors have gotten married and so on and have moved on. I'm not sure about Paul Morano. I haven't heard from him lately, but I do know he has a couple of books. So Paul has been, working on, he's still exercising his gifts. And so I think that's just so great. Who else shall we mention?
And Paul moved out of Detroit too. Kim Tizer.
Yep. So yeah, Kim is still in the Detroit area. She is working for a Catholic cemetery and funeral homes there in the Detroit area.
And some of the behind the scene people that you would not have met, like the editors and the videographers. Ronan moved to Dallas. Ryan, is Ryan still in the Detroit area? Do you know?
I am just not sure.
Okay.
So we know Joe Gallagher, I believe, is still in the area, but I don't think his company is still.
No, he's selling insurance, I think. And then Brad Eli moved his family to a farm in either Arkansas or Alabama, and he is a ranch manager. His Facebook post you can tell he's a lot happier doing that. His Facebook page has a lot of pictures of his family and his children. And so I'm trying to think who else, Kristine.
Well,
Christine Niles, she moved out of the Detroit area. And I don't know this for sure. It's been said she's practicing law again. David Gordon is practicing law again in West Virginia.
Joe Enders, I believe, is still in Detroit. I want to say. I'm not sure what Joe is doing, but I believe he's still in Detroit. And there are a number of people who are still in Detroit, but who are now working for Michael remotely.
Yeah. Yep. Dr. William Mahoney, he is back in New Jersey, where his family's from, correct, Kristine?
Yeah.
Is it New Jersey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the people that decided that, Michael was the employer of the year and still working for him. Well, Simon Rafe, who sent that scathing email saying he blocked Michael's phone number, he blocked Michael's email. He sent this out to all the employees, saying that how
repudiating his
yes,
relationship.
yes. And then he goes and turns around and works for him about a month later. So Mary McCann, who was the receptionist at Church Militant, is now the president of Souls and Liberty. And then who else is with him? Stephen?
Yeah. Jules.
Stephen Wynn. That's right. Jules Gomez is still with him. There were some writers that stayed with him. And then a videographer, Adrian, is with him too.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Well, Susan Vance. Carmen.
Oh yeah, the Vances. Gosh, how did I forget that? My gosh.
Susan Vance. Carmen is still, managing the retreat at sea.
Debbie Trebek.
Oh, is she?
I thought so.
I guess that's so there are some people who I guess still felt good about, sticking with him. I would just give all of them a great big caution. But
yeah. Well, I feel like
because if it can happen to Kristine Niles, who was so
loyal,
completely and fully dedicated to Church Militant, St. Michael's Media, and Michael Voris, if she can get thrown under the bus. Yep.
Good point, Kristine. That's a really good point.
Yeah, nobody is really safe. If he needs cover, he'll get it wherever he can take it.
Yes, that's right. That's right. So hopefully Michael has changed. Hopefully Michael is continuing to get the help that he needs. And hopefully he'll run this apostolate different. He's got the same friends around him that won't tell him no. So it's hard to tell if that will happen. But that's what our hope is that he does.
Well, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and thinking you're going to get a different result. So
exactly. So we will take your questions and comments, and then we will finish up by telling you what Kristine and I what we're working on for next week.
Yeah.
All right. So Kayla says hi. Hello, Kayla. She's a loyal follower. It's so good to see you. Lou says, yay, the band is back together. Thanks, Lou. Yeah. Eileen says, love Kristine. Happy to see you again. See, I told you everybody missed you.
Thank you.
Vix text, the mainstream media cannot be relied upon. That's absolutely true. They cannot, because they mentioned the morality clause, but they didn't mention anything else. JM says, good to see you, Kristine, again. Hope all is well.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
It is.
You have been missed, girl.
That's very kind.
Oh, I said that already. JM says again, the leader takes the bullets for her employees. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they do. And that's not what Voris did. He threw Kristine Niles under the bus, acted like he had nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah, that was Kristine Niles' job. That wasn't my job.
Yeah. Yep. He pointed the finger at her.
And, God help me, if I'm ever in a position where, I need to take take one for the team, which is what he should have done. Well, actually, I think it's a stronger situation than take one for the team. But,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, he just abandoned, if you're the leader, Tucker Carlson was talking about this just the other night when he had on Jack Posobiec and Alex Jones, that if you're the leader, you're like the father figure and you need to protect the people under you. Well, Michael didn't he put all of us at risk. And um, and one of the reasons it's so detrimental is because when you work at a place like Church Militant, you become radioactive. you know, it's very, your politics, your religion, everything is right there for everybody to see and to judge you. So,
Mhm.
because it's right there on your resume, it makes it much more difficult to find employment and to feel confident and good about going into an interview.
Well, lots of church militant former employees didn't even put church militant on their resume because they didn't want employers to know
Right. They would
that
put
they,
St. Michael's
yeah.
Media. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I heard that from quite a few of the former employees.
I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, so, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. I'll
yeah,
just go
right.
on.
Yeah,
Um, TS says the entire website was removed from the
yeah,
website. Yep,
yeah.
it was because of this situation where the bills weren't getting paid.
Yeah, so churchmilitant.com is gone.
Yeah. And TS, oh, TS. So I don't know who you are. You said you moved from Dallas. So I'm assuming you worked at Church Militant at one time. Can you answer that question? Thank you. And then Trey Blanton, our friend, I predicted when I left that CM would shut down soon after the midterms.
Mm. Mhm.
Okay, Trey,
Mhm.
you were spot on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
James says the Baltimore lawsuit must have eaten a lot of CM money. It did.
Mhm.
And you can go to the nonprofit watchdogs and look up 990s. And you can see, and actually, Kristine, I think we went through that with
We
one of
did.
the
Yeah,
videos.
we did.
Yeah, trying to figure out that this amount of money must be for the Baltimore lawsuit.
Yeah. There's a
But
section called something like fees or something like that, and
yeah,
that's clearly and the thing about I cannot remember that lawyer's name, but he was extremely controversial. The
and with
lawyer,
an R.
um,
Um,
Rendazzi or
yeah, that's it. And
yeah,
he is very, very controversial.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've forgotten exact. I think he was. Oh, I don't want to say. Um,
it had to do with representing people about pornography or something
that's
like
what I
that.
was going to say.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Vic Tech says, that's disappointing about Father Altman. I know it is. It is disappointing. James says, Souls and Liberty is being presented by some guy named Gary Michael Force. Yes, that's right. He's now Gary Michael Force. And then Trey says he's still in school. So there you go, Kristine.
Good for you.
Yeah, good for you, Trey.
Yep. I bet he's burning it up there too. I bet he's doing great.
I bet he is too.
He was a little
Um,
bit of he was a bookworm anyway. So,
well,
yeah.
and the fact that he knew security made me feel safer that he was there,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
It's like of
absolutely.
all the people to get rid of, are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah.
Although he quit.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't get fired, but
No.
that was
Mhm.
sad for me to see him leave. And
Back to so Kim. Yeah,
yeah,
I don't think she has done anything recently, but I believe she is on occasion
yeah,
posting.
yep. She does have her podcast still on her YouTube channel. And for the life of me, I can't remember the
The
good
good place.
times, the good place. Yeah,
Mhm.
the good place. Yep. JM says Tizer has her own YouTube channel. Yep, thanks.
Wow.
All right. Vix Tech says everybody just scattered.
They did.
They did. No reason to stay in Detroit if you don't have to.
Yeah, people are leaving Michigan in droves for a lot of reasons.
Lou says, and Lou's a faithful watcher. Thank you, Lou. So is JM. So is Deb. I watch Kristine Niles on occasion. She recently broke her pelvis. Yes, she did, in 4 places. Ouch! I just can't imagine that, because you can't set a pelvis.
Wow.
Ooh, that just hurts thinking about it. Deb says, I'm glad they're moving on. Yeah, they really do. I am too.
I'm glad, Deb, I'm glad you mentioned that, because, Kristine and I, yes, we both moved, and so our lives have been sort of upside down. But even before that, we both felt like, uh, staying involved in this story wasn't really doing us much good spiritually or psychologically. And so we both had just sort of said, okay, past is past, we're moving on. I just happened to, I'm about to relaunch my Substack. And so I'm preparing to catch my audience up on, where some of the stories were that I've been reporting on. And so I just went out and looked at where things were with the de Laire lawsuit and saw that it had settled. And so anyway, but for the most part, so my point is, I believe we are all moving on.
Yeah, I agree with that, Kristine. And thank you for what you said too, because Kristine and I have had many talks about former employees that were struggling and about everything that happened. I mean, it really, really weighed on us in a lot of different ways. And not only the way that the staff was completely disrespected by Voris, and these people gave their hearts and souls to that place.
Yeah.
They were hard workers.
And, I kind of got triggered again when I was looking at the website and I saw that Michael was interviewing Patrick Kolbeck. Patrick Kolbeck is an election integrity expert out of Michigan, wrote a book on the topic. He's a former Michigan state senator, very, very well respected, a man of God. I don't know if he's still Catholic. He was raised Catholic. And Michael was interviewing him. And I was just in Detroit visiting friends, and I ran into Patrick at a Republican event, and I'm sure he had no idea, Michael's or Gary Voris's background, and so it just kind of triggered me all over again about, but I'm good. I'm good.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, TJ would like to say that why should the average Catholic care about this? This is nothing more than retractions and gossip, sinful behavior. Well, let me tell you why we're doing this, TJ. I don't know if you've watched our other videos or not, but as a former employees, we feel a responsibility to the donors to know the truth about what was going on at Church Militant and St. Michael's Media. They had no problem taking donor money and spending it on frivolous lawsuits and mismanaged the funds at all. So, maybe for you don't care about this, and that's fine. You can leave, but it's not sinful behavior when you're actually telling people the truth. And that is, you have to do your due diligence on nonprofits. Kristine Christlieb is a nonprofit expert. We both worked at Church Militant. We saw firsthand how it was being mismanaged, how in the entire time that the apostolate existed, they didn't even have board meetings. And Michael totally took the funds and did with it what he wanted without any pushback. So that's why it's important to talk about this. That's why it's important to air this so that donors know what is really going on behind the scenes. Kristine, would you like to add anything?
Well, I think that's the main thing. I mean, TJ, I would just say, so before you invest in stock, or, people typically are going to, look at, how it's trending and, how it's managed and all that sort of thing. So that's one of the things that I do on my Substack, Trust But Verify. I report exclusively on the nonprofit sector. And so I'm trying to encourage people to be good investors in the nonprofit sector. And my objection always with St. Michael's Media was its governance. The fact that it had a non-functioning board. Michael was never supervised. They didn't even meet, and that's illegal. You have to meet legally once a year. They weren't doing that, so there were all sorts of problems like that. So, I'm a journalist, and so I'm reporting on that for the benefit of the public. Frankly, it's a public service, honestly.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay. Lou says, oh, I'm sorry, Lou, you were answering someone else. Yes, I believe she was riding her horse. That's Christine Niles. Yeah. VTech says, keep all the folks in our prayers. Absolutely. Yep. Thank you for that. And again, so glad I was able to catch you all live. I'm so glad you were too. Thank you for watching. And Deb asked, and I'm going to let you answer this one. I mean, I know the answer, but is the trial over? Like your hair, Kristine K. Glad to see you both together again.
So what happened is the whole thing is dismissed,
There was no trial, Deb.
Yeah. They settled before trial.
Yeah.
So it's all gone.
It's all gone. It's all done. And Michael can move on, and so can Father de Laire.
And all of us,
Yep.
So back to TJ. One thing I could say is I don't think we're going to be reporting on this anymore.
Yeah. This is kind of the final chapter of the
done. So we're not going to beat this thing to death. So
yeah, that's a good ad. Yeah, this will be it, everyone. There's no more to report on. Gary Michael Voris he's got his new deal going on with Christians. So that was pretty predictable that was going to happen. But I'm not going to continue to follow Gary Michael Voris or any of them in Souls and Liberty or any of that. I'm done. We're done. We're moving on. So sad what happened though.
Yeah.
EOS1. I hope Gary has changed and is repenting. We're all sinners, but under no circumstance should he ever leave any kind of apostolate out of the public limelight, period. I don't disagree with that at all, but he couldn't stay away from a camera longer than 3 or 4 months. So he, that's what he should do, but he won't.
Kim Tizer said something along that line to me. Kim was in,
media.
So she's had her time in front of the camera too, not just on Church Militant. But she was saying, once you've been in front of the camera, and of course he was there for, 18 to 20 years, you just, you get
crave
the bug,
it.
I guess.
Yeah. Eileen says,
Oh,
I was a donor. Thank you very much for the update. You're welcome,
oh,
Eileen. So, TJ, I hope you see this because it is important to the donors to know. I
yeah.
can't tell you how many emails I receive from donors about all of this because they were shocked. I mean, we were shocked. Well, were we shocked, Kristine? I was shocked as a new employee there in my first week seeing how the place was run and what was going on. I was. But Eileen, you are one of many that reached out to me about what was going on at Church Militant. So you're welcome.
And I will just say, I mean, Church Militant did some great work.
Yeah, they did. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, did some great work. Some great reporting. I mean, they just did, and it's a tragedy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
And that was one of the things that just drove me crazy about how they managed things is they weren't paying attention to how to raise the money to keep the thing going. And then they wasted a bunch of money on those lawsuits. It just didn't have to happen.
So Peter thinks we're the voice of the devil
Oh dear.
for speaking the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, Peter.
Mm.
Deb, I was glad to know all about nonprofits because I was a former Church Militant member.
Yeah.
Oh, good for that. Yeah, you were probably one of the subscribers, like so many of them were, and they were continuing to take those annual memberships out of people's pocketbooks going back to March and April. And I had many people email me asking me if I could help facilitate to get their money back. And
Yeah.
so I had to reach out to Simon Legreed, Simon Rafe, and try to get their money back because those memberships kept coming out, kept getting charged.
Yeah.
So, and many of them did get turned around, some of them did not. So I did what I could to help them. Deb says, we all need to heal. Hopefully, I'm not naive again. Well, Deb, we've all been naive. We really have. And we're just happy that we can help you discern the next nonprofit that you could. And this is my personal take. I would much rather give my money to people I know that need the help, because there's a lot of people out there that need help in our circle, in your circle, than give my money to a nonprofit. Give my money to a charity, because you have no control over how that money is spent.
Or if you're going to give it to a nonprofit, give it to a local nonprofit and then get involved.
Good point.
In the nonprofit.
Good point, Kristine.
Be a volunteer, drop in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Drop
or, try to get on the board.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Miss June Bennett says, don't hold your breath. I'm not sure what that was about. Oh, here it is. He will be back in the news in the future. He's already back.
Yeah. Mm.
So she says, again, the state of Michigan is not done with Gary. He broke laws up there. I don't know what that's about.
Oh, neither.
Miss June Bennett.
He did. I believe he did. Okay, I'm not going to say definitively. It seems if they never met as a board,
Yeah, he broke IRS regulation laws.
it seems to me,
Hmm.
I'm no lawyer.
WM Soundtrack says the voice of the devil for telling the truth. Odd comment. Thank you, WM Soundtracks. All right. Well done, ladies. You provided a lot of good info when this went down. Time to move on. Gary doesn't need any more attention. We talked
Mhm.
about that, didn't we, Kristine? We
Mhm.
talked about that very thing.
Yeah. I didn't even want to mention the name of his website.
Yeah, we had talked about that. Miss June Bennett says, want your money back? Contact the Attorney General and file a complaint. That's
That's
right.
right.
That's
Mhm.
right. Thank you for that.
Mhm. That's right.
WM Soundtrack says, I worked for 2 nonprofits in my life, Church Militant being one of them.
Okay.
Okay. Do not give your money to a nonprofit unless they are extremely transparent.
Yeah.
PSK. Oh, P.S. Kay and Kristine are not the devil for helping people. Thank you, WM Soundtracks.
Mhm.
No, we are not the devil. All right, I think I got all the comments. Now, here's what Kristine and I are working on for next week. And I think we have this set for Thursday, right, Kristine? Okay.
Mhm.
Do you want to explain?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So, as I mentioned, I'm relaunching my Substack. I've been away and not publishing regularly for a while now. And so one of the things I'm doing is going back and looking at some of the things that I reported on and update things. So one of my last stories was about how there's a major health system in St. Louis, SSM Health, and part of that system is the only freestanding Catholic children's hospital in the nation, Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, which, among the things that it's known for, is helping developmentally disabled families and their children. So, but as part of that, of course, they do genetic testing and all of that, now ostensibly, when they identify a problem with the preborn child, they help the family prepare for what may happen and how to help the child along the way. But uh, that we've discovered, of course, that that sometimes they are referring parents for abortion. So
Oh,
the Knights of Columbus, which is one of the major donors to Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, is completely uh, uh, a man named John Ryan, who is a fourth degree Knight of Columbus and has been a abortion sidewalk counselor for 4 decades at least. He has been trying to bring this attention to the attention of his brother knights, and they are basically just got their hands over their ears and do not want to listen to it. So John Ryan, like I said, who has has been arrested multiple times, was just recently arrested. He's
trying to save the unborn.
Yes, uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, thank you for that. We'll be talking with him on Thursday about, his work.
About his work, about his background, about the pro-life movement, and about
Mhm.
this ongoing issue in St. Louis. So I hope you all tune in. And I just want to throw this up real quick. So, Kristine, WM Soundtracks is B. Hello, B.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
We love B
oh.
too.
Oh, that's so wonderful.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
baby.
yeah. Thanks, B, for identifying yourself.
Yeah. So B was a reporter a lot. Dr. William Mahoney.
Yeah, yeah.
We called him B. Just
We
like I
called
was
him
K,
B.
he was B.
Kristine was K. And he says, "Hey, ladies, I stumbled across this by accident. You're doing a great job. Thank you, B."
Yeah. Yeah.
All righty. B, we're going to have you on.
Yeah. And
Oh my
give Danny
gosh.
a hug for us.
Yes, yes, we're going to have you on. All right. So everyone, before we conclude, you know what I always do, and that is eternal life is forever. Got a plan? And this is the promise which he made us, life everlasting. 1 John chapter 2, verse 25 in the Dewey Rames Bible. So I hope you all join us next week. And we got to pray for Voris. We got to keep praying for Voris. And we have to keep pray for Kristine and I too. I never ask for
Yeah.
prayers.
Oh my gosh, our lives have just been like, oh my gosh.
I know
It's
been crazy for both of us. And of course, you all heard my story from the move from hell and how many times I fell, and Kristine came down and helped me one day to help pack up. And this is so, and it's okay, Kristine, if you tell on me, I couldn't last more than 5 minutes and I'd have to go sit down. Right, Kristine?
Well, I mean, you'd been through a lot. I mean, you'd taken like that fall, I guess. Yeah. Like the day before or something. Oh, it's exhausting. I mean, everybody who's moved knows how just horrible it is, but we're both in a better place.
Oh, we sure are. We sure are. And poor Kristine, she's like, well, should I throw this away or should I keep it? And it was a pleasure to have us or have you, Kristine. It really was. And I can't thank you enough for coming down to help me.
Yeah.
So keep us all in your prayers. We'll keep you in our prayers. And remember, eternal life is forever. Your plan has got to be Jesus so you don't get derailed. Bye-bye.
Bye.